Nicky Henderson welcomed the press to his Seven Barrows base ahead of this year's Cheltenham Festival. In part one, we looked at the hurdlers being targeted at the meeting, but much of the attention was on the chasers, and none more so than sprinter Sacre.
You know, all being well, he comes in here as about as good as we can get him. I'm not going to tell you it's the sprinter that you saw 2 years ago, because it might well not be. But then possibly he doesn't need to be, as we were saying, that in that period of his life, he was as near as unbeatable as it gets. Now, if he's not the same, quite the same as what he was, he's still got, there's a gap, or there was a gap that, you know, halfway would probably, between him and the next horse, would probably be good enough in most years, but there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of competition this time. There was then, but he was just different class. But he's in very good form, and I mean, you might yet see the old one, but I'm pretty sure we'll see a good one.
And what did you make of Sire de Gruge's run at Cheltenham?
Very good. I mean, that was a good performance. I mean, they must have been, you know, the Newbury saga was very unfortunate, and I'd agreed with them that Gary, that he needed to come, and it was brave to come out again, especially in ground like that in a handicap. No, fair play to them. That was a good performance.
You've won the Racing Post Arkle 5 times. You've got Josses Hill for the race this time around. What chance do you think up against Undersay?
Well, I've been fending the question off, saying ask B. Geraghty, because he's the believer in this horse. I'm a believer in him. He's in very good form. His work's been great the last week. Last couple of weeks, he galloped on Saturday. Some will say his jumping isn't up to it. Barry will tell you that the faster they go, the better he'll jump. They will go fast. We all know they're going to go 1,000,000 miles an hour, because Ernest is going to set a gallop that's going to test everybody. I asked Barry the other day whether he'd rather switch him to the 2.5, and he said no, stick to 2 and chase the other thing, and we'll see.
You've still got quite a bit of faith in him then?
Well, he's a good horse. We've been educating him throughout the whole sort of season, really. I'm not sure that Ascot didn't just, you know, that was a good race with Petit Zig. The first part of the race he jumped beautifully, but he just frightened himself, and he does that. He tends to frighten himself rather than make mistakes, and he thinks he's very good, which he is, but then he sort of just lacks the courage of his own convictions, and he launches himself and then says, oh heck, and he's got the scope to do it. He's just got to believe that he can do it, and sometimes he gets a bit carried away, and Barry's always thought that at a good gallop, you've got that sort of impulsion to go and jump like he's trying to jump like he's going flat out when he's actually only in second gear. They'll be in top gear from the word go. It'll either suit him, or there'll be it'll be a very, very tough race, that, because whatever tries to keep tabs on it, they say he's going to be going very, very quickly, it won't be for the faint-hearted anyway.
And Matt Phil, a mare that seems to come good at this time of the year, she's on course for the Ryanair.
I like her. I thought there was a good run at Ascot the other day in the Ascot Chase, because we'd had a bad time round about Christmas in January. Had bloods and track washes and things were all wrong. She wasn't right at all. We had to leave her alone. But her run at Aintree earlier on, that was a very good run. It was just one of those stupid days when they took all the fences out. And the one thing, her biggest weapon is her jumping. She ran a great race, and she was second to Holywell in the festival last year, won the Topham. And she would have, Ascot would have brought her on quite a bit. And no, I think she's one I do look forward to.
And just a word on Bobsworth, sort of the forgotten horse of this year's Gold Cup.
He is. He sort of gets mentioned and he comes back into it again, and then he gets forgotten again. He's never been the easiest. You know, don't forget, he's been going around here for quite a long time. This will be his 5th consecutive festival. He won at 3 consecutive festivals, and that takes a lot of doing, especially over in different races. And you know, his run in the Lexus was, from Barry's angle, all he said afterwards, he said, give me the same horse in the same form on good ground at Cheltenham, he'll be there.
Do you feel he's at the same level as he was a couple of seasons ago?
The last week's been, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. He's in good form.
And just a quick word on the handicaps, any horses we should look out for?
I think they're all badly handicapped, but the handicap would say, he would say that, wouldn't he? You'd think of Darwalan for the attempts, but he's got very high. We totally exposed him at Musselburgh exposed him. I mean, he's just been consistent all year. Doesn't seem the obvious way to win these handicaps, because you finish up at the top. Volney de Tay, he's going to be bound to be top weight in the Coral, I would think. Darwalan will be top of the attempts. I can see 2 or 3 that are going to be top of the county. I've got 4 or 5 for the Martin Pipe, but I should think I don't know. There are lots of chances. I could see Hammersley Lakes, and I'd say Darwalan, Coolmer Cavity. I think if you've got good ground, T and Val, he's been doing nothing wrong. Good ground. I think the ground will be dependent on which of those slightly come to the fore on the day, but there'll be 2 or 3 for all of them, and they're justifiably there. They're very tough to win.
And of your whole squad, your best chance of the week?
Oh dear. Well, and Lammy Surge would be a nice one, because that would just get the pressure off the back, and you can, I don't say enjoy it more, but it's amazing how it goes once if you can get a winner early on. It does make the whole thing an awful lot easier. It's horrible going into day 4 with a clean sheet. So anything's gratefully received. You'd like one early on. I do like Lammy Surge a lot. Then you'd have to say, well, I don't know for horses. I mean, the Triumph is the obvious race we'd have the best chance of winning, but that means waiting till Friday. So let's hope for something earlier.
So that's the news on the chasers heading to Cheltenham. It would be great to see sprinter Sacre get back to winning ways in the champion chase, but I certainly got the impression stable confidence is high in Maffil Earl, who goes in the Ryanair.